Hello, Phyllis. So we are tapping in today for messages from your dog who passed away this past Thanksgiving. And I'm so sorry that you are going through that. That is very recent. I lost my dog, my little soul dog, about 6.5 years ago. And I definitely remember how difficult those early days, weeks, months, even really the whole first year was exceptionally difficult. And yeah, I can really just tell you from experience that even if it seems that, it seems impossible to think that it could ever get easier, get less overwhelming, get less heavy to carry, it really does. You never really get over it. They're always with you, but you do find an equilibrium of a place where it's not so overwhelming anymore. So I'm sending you so much love and light. Because I definitely can relate to how difficult that is. Okay, so Spirit, tap me into what Phyllis's dog wants to tell her, particularly insights into his experience in the 3D, his purpose, his calling, if he felt loved, favorite memories, why he chose to exit, and then really just anything that he wants to say, anything that he wants to send through. Yeah, so I don't know if I don't even know if this is related to the reading, but a lot of times they do send me physical feelings that are either a message that they want to send, or they're sending, what they were experiencing physically. And as soon as I started doing the meditation for this reading, I did get like a pain in the place where my neck leads into my shoulder. And it just reminded me that I had wanted to mention that, because as I'm shuffling the cards, it's kind of twinging a little bit. So like I said, that could just be something I'm feeling, and it's coincidentally contemporaneous with this reading. But that is the way that they do send me messages a lot of times about what they were feeling, is they send it as an actual feeling that I'm having in my own body. So yeah, there could have been something to do with his neck, or his I don't know if you call it shoulders in dogs, actually, the place where his neck connects to his front arm. Okay, so C might be an important initial with challenge and caution coming out. Definitely with challenge coming out centrally. I'm getting several different messages that are associated with that. But definitely with challenge being modified by caution here. Yeah, he wants to acknowledge that this is very difficult, that this journey is a huge challenge for you, that it's an uphill battle. We see this image of this hiker climbing up the hill. So it's not even just like walking a path, even a difficult path. It's like climbing straight up a hill. It's very difficult. And with caution, I feel like that is just him wanting to send you a heads up. I feel like warning is a bit too ominous for the way that I'm feeling it, but more just like a heads up to just approach this mindfully, because there could be the potential or even the temptation to lose yourself in it, and for it to take you just a very long time to process the grief feelings that you're having. And it's certainly not saying rush it or, push down your feelings. Of course not. But I feel like sort of retreating away from the world is something that I'm feeling. I actually feel a desire to do that. I don't want to talk to my friends. I don't want to get out and about. I'd rather just kind of stay in my little cozy cave. The temptation of isolation, I think, is part of it. And that could also be expressed emotionally, like even if you're spending time with friends and loved ones, that you're not being real and authentic with them, that you're not being vulnerable with them. Yeah, and I mean, again, it's not as if you have to just be, so, like, such an open wound all the time. But I think it's just, well, yeah, with the Sly, I was just about it to say it's about being strategic. And then I noticed the first card that came out is Sly. So yeah, it's about being strategic enough to be self-aware and to recognize when you are giving in too often to that impulse to just self-isolate and not connect with people. I think that's the fear, is the not connecting. And that becomes, a cycle, like a treadmill that's very difficult to jump off of. Now, I also feel with Sly, with the side of challenge that's being modified by Sly, I feel like this is him speaking about his experience in the 5D. That he's learning a lot, that he, there are projects, there are challenges, there are things that he's very invested in, things that he puzzles to be figured out. He has to be sly. He has to be strategic. I feel like it's very mentally challenging for him, as well as spiritually challenging. And I think that, it strikes me as he is having a really good time. I think that, I think that part of it is this being set free from whatever it was that was holding him down or holding him back in the 3D, likely to do with his physical body, because that pinch in the back of my neck/shoulder just pinched even more aggressively. So that tells me that there was some kind of either pain or stiffness that was holding him back in the 3D. So the freedom from that, I feel like, is a big part of what he is experiencing in a really excited and positive way. But then it is also these goals that he is working to achieve. And, I feel like with the fact that he actually led off with talking about your grieving journey, the path that you are walking, that tells me he is still very involved in your day-to-day experience. And not only that, but with your inner life, your emotional experience. And he has plans. He has plans for how he's going to support you. How he's going to send you his energy, how he's going to send you strength. It's a real challenge, but even more than that, it's meaningful. I think that he was very invested in the idea that it was his role, his honor to look after you in the 3D, particularly your emotional health. So, this may have been a situation where when you were having a down day, he always seemed to understand it. He would either snuggle you or make you laugh, but he was just very in tune with you emotionally. And I feel like he wants you to know that that did not end when he crossed over. And in fact, with him being an entirely spiritual being now and him having expanded consciousness, he honestly is more aware of the nuances and the depth of your emotional state, even than you are, let alone than he was when he was in the 3D, because, having expanded consciousness, he just has a significantly deeper capacity for understanding emotions than anyone here in the 3D does, because we are still operating under the limitations of the 3D mind. Yeah, and with the artwork on Sly and the artwork on Challenge, just taking that as a direct reference, I think that he enjoyed the outdoors, and particularly natural features of the outdoors. Like, we have hills appear in both places. We've got trees appearing. Yeah, so also with the jellyfish here, maybe something about the ocean or water as well, because there's a river on Sly also. Yeah, so maybe like lake, ocean, like a body of water kind of a thing might have been something that he really enjoyed. Oh. Yeah, so definitely the answer to whether he felt loved is yes. Yeah, cherished, actually. Oh, and Crown came out right in the middle of Challenge and Caution. So C is drawing attention to itself even more. So yeah, he felt absolutely cherished. With Unicorn, he knows that you looked at him as being this absolutely magical creature, this once in a lifetime creature. And yeah, and I mean, I feel like that even inspired him more to live up to his calling, which I really feel had to do with emotional balancing. So maybe not just you, because I just heard the pack. So yeah, there could have been also other people in the household, other people that he loves, that he was very invested in really being there for them and their emotions as well. With Crown, so yeah, that is, I feel like you treated him like royalty. And so I think that that is likely also beautiful memories for him of just being pampered and being so well taken care of. But also the idea of you putting him above your own needs, you really placing his well-being over and above your own. So yeah, definitely this is him wanting you to know that any decisions that you had to make regarding his end-of-life care, or even just care throughout his life, he understands that you prioritized him, that you did what was best for him, that in fact, like, you went so over and above. Yeah, above and beyond when it came to taking care of him. You really treated him like royalty. Yeah, wow, that is so interesting. Okay, so yeah, with the Five of Cups being followed up by the Devil, I feel like that really does speak to the almost like darkly seductive pull of melancholy and of self-isolating. And yeah, I mean, that's what the Caution is about. The Devil really is like the pull, the desire, almost the compulsion to do unhealthy things. Yeah, and some of those things are things that would just, anybody would say they weren't healthy, like, drinking too much or drugs or things like that. But some are things that we can actually almost justify to ourselves could be healthy, like spending time alone. That's healthy to a point, but then if you're just completely isolated, it becomes unhealthy. Most things in life walk that line and balance that line. And so with the Ace of Swords, that is the idea of having clarity, mental clarity. And so I feel like he is just really encouraging you to have a clear-eyed view of the decisions that you're making so they don't lead to something that causes you trouble down the line. He does strike me as being concerned about you, honestly. Like, he definitely is having a really good time where he is. I mean, he is definitely completely at peace with crossing over. He really is enjoying his existence on the other side, but he has some concern for you. Of course he does, because, he can absolutely sense the pain that you're in, and he wants to know how he can help, and he doesn't want it to get worse. Let's see what he has to say through channeled messages. When you say my name and smile, I feel happy inside, even though I can also feel how sad you are. So that could be something that could help both him and you, is just, operating from an assumption that he is around you in spirit all the time, pretty much all the time. And even if he weren't around you at any given moment, if you think of him, long for him, say his name out loud, like he's beside you in an instant. So yeah, just speaking to him from that place of an assumption that he is there, that he is with you. Okay, I chose you to be my person before I was born. Yeah, so that really speaks to what his life's purpose is as well. I love that. I mean, that was pretty clear throughout the reading as well. But talk about putting it in a sentence. Yeah, you are his life's purpose. Okay, I'm sending you signs all the time, but you miss most of them. It's okay, just pay attention. Yeah, that may be, he might have chosen this card because this is something that he is working to do and he doesn't want you to miss them. I would be surprised if he had already cracked the code of being able to consistently send tangible messages through, because that's a difficult skill and a lot, like the sort of, I mean, there is no real rule of thumb. It's different for every animal, but I would say a very common time frame that it takes them to learn how to consistently send you 3D tangible messages and signs and symbols, etc., would be about 6 months to a year. So yeah, that could be something to keep in mind for the future, is just have an awareness, pay attention, be watching for signs and symbols. And speaking of which, this deck is signs and symbols that he will be working to send you so that you can be aware of the tangible signs and symbols that might start appearing around you. Okay, smells. So that would be any smell you associate with him, smelling it in an out of context situation. Okay, thoughts. So yeah, again, that's not going to be something that really comes into play right now, because I'm sure this is so fresh. I'm sure you're thinking of him all the time. But in the future, this would be when, it's not like you see anything or hear anything or even think of something else that triggers the thought of him, but just completely out of the blue, a very vivid thought or memory of him pops into your mind. And sensations. So that would be the feeling of his fur under your skin, the feeling of his nose kind of poking you, or his tongue giving you kisses, or the feeling of the warmth and weight of his body as he snuggles you. Just any physical sensation that you associate with him, feeling it when he's not right there with you. And yeah, he is. That's how he's letting you know that in actuality, he is right there with you. Alrighty, so that is what I have for you. I hope that it resonated in a way that brought you some clarity, some insight, some food for thought. And I am going to leave you with this, that you are awesome, that you are worthy of love, and you are enough. Okay, bye.